G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Eno from Fantasy Take TV, and today we're going over round one, which was pretty eventful to say the absolute least. Kicked off with, well, I guess Thursday night, a bit of a weird game, ended in a draw. A few hopper owners, or a lot of hopper owners, a bit disappointed. But then Friday night, Stewart going down early. Saturday night with Liam Jones, and then to top it off on Sunday, Josh Kelly, ever reliable Josh Kelly, gets concussed and just continues his terrible luck. With that sort of stuff, and it was just unbelievable. Really, like every day there was some carnage. Even some carnage, before the round kicked off with the teams. Toby McLean's not getting named. Will Phillips is like emergency, so he ends up being the sub. And obviously Elliot Yeo even, further back to that. So pretty crazy round one. Don't get too caught above or caught over your rank. Like this early, it doesn't really matter too much. 100 points from me to 2,000 points is like almost 40,000 spots. So. Or maybe a little bit less, but don't get too caught up on that. I managed to just tick over 2,100 and what I'm ranked 7,000, but again, really doesn't mean too much. We'll get into my team as well. So I've made a couple of tweaks, really late in the piece that obviously you can't sort of make a video about, but yeah, and went down in one draft league by 20 points and the other to my mate Dan by a fair while. So he smashed me there, so what a mate. Anyway, we'll get into the team. And I sort of, when Yo went down, always wanted to go to 3 premium defense because I've seen some people with, and look, Liam Jones goes down, that's you can't really control that, but I just felt really light in defense if I had him at like D3, and I've even seen people with him at D2, and it just really didn't sit comfortably with me. And obviously I'm not predicting injury, but even still, he was on about 4 points in a quarter and a half of footy, and that didn't really entice me either. Look, I know he turned up in the preseason, but we weren't going to see that every week. It's going to be like sort of really up and down. Might get a spike game here or there. Just not really something I wanted to sit through. So I opted to go for 3 premiums, and these are the 3 I landed on. Very, very happy, of course, with, probably Stewart being my other one, and probably one I've favoured ahead of sort of Doherty and even Sicily at times. Dawson was never really leaving my side. So, look, I found a way to get lucky and not start him. Sort of looked at that early buy. They don't play at the GMHBA a bit, and look, I didn't really believe in all that stuff, but it sort of just swayed me towards, Sicily's going to have a heap of the ball in defence, and look, they played the Bombers, and that was true. Doherty's just really come, back off his injuries, cancer. He's looking back to his best, and really wanted to start him, and he obviously got quite popular towards the start of the season. And then Dawson, as I said, has never really leaving my side. So I'm pretty happy I landed on these 3. Obviously had to take a hit somewhere to start these. Some people have gone 2 and then a Ridley or a Dacos, or some even a Young, but obviously paying for 3 of these 600k guys. They were just all so good last year. I felt really safe with, and obviously didn't want to be too light in defence. So yeah, Sicily, at 15 marks or something, 30 touches, and probably could have scored a bit better. He had a couple of bad clangers, a drop mark, a drop chest mark. So, probably left a few points out there, but I'm probably going to expect scores like this from him most weeks, with the Hawks in a full rebuild. I can expect a lot of ball for him down there, and he only took like 1 kick out or something. Bramble took quite a few of them, so, there's even upside there if he, gets down there and is able to take a few more. Doherty on Thursday night was really good. Obviously kicked another goal against the Tigers in round 1 from 50. And yeah, sort of, had a really big third quarter, second half really. So he was good. And then Dawson, very strange game, the Crows and Giants game. It looked like the Giants were dead. They were playing terrible footy in that first half. They came out in the second half and made Adelaide just look terrible themselves, like absolute shadow of themselves from the first half. It was a real tale of 2 halves. And Dawson, big first half, very quiet third quarter, even though that was when the Hawks were kind of dominating. The Giants were kind of dominating, and I guess a lot of the footy inside 50 was just going over his head through the big stick. So, he sort of managed to muster up a respectable score in the fourth quarter. He had a few kickouts and got his score to a decent one in the end. So Next is, I actually have changed this since. This is incorrect. I got Goda really late, so we're skipping ahead to Sheasel here, but we had Big Seven, one of our Discord members, at the game, and he was telling us that Sheasel was lining up at half back, or warming up with them, and so was Goda. And Goda was one I was sort of tempted by, playing if he was playing defence. So I took a bit of a punt there, but we'll give him another week. There's some outs there if possible or if needed. He looked okay. And Jinbi was really, really good in that game, as well. I think he had 12 tackles or something. So, he's a big body, ready-made, and he showed it. But then this last one with Wilmot and McKenna, I probably should have fielded McKenna in hindsight, of course, but I didn't think it was going to be, a 40-point loss. I just went Wilmot. I know they like him more, maybe wanted to get the ball in his hands, but McKenna was really, really impressive, and one of their few that can sort of hold their head up from that game. He gave it his all throughout, so obviously he's going to be on field for me going forward. And then maybe it's more of a decision between Wilmot and Goda as to who I field from here on out. And then Cowan was pretty good, early, but I don't want to say he faded out, but obviously he ended up getting subbed and unfortunately couldn't continue scoring any more points. So, look, I think he's going to play again. They just subbed him out, first game, bit of cramp or something. So, I think he'll be fine. In the mids, now this is where I took the hit. I did have Laird for quite a bit of preseason, and I'll count myself lucky not end up going with it. But just like Kelly, that's not something I just didn't really ever feel comfortable with him in my side. 700k, even Clary. Clary is actually who I switched to closer to the round beginning, and I think I even had him during the Thursday and Friday night games. It was Clary who I set on. I'd got rid of Laird. And then just for whatever reason, I got, I think it was like Noah Long, a rookie, up to Goda, and then obviously had to find some cash somewhere and went down to McRae, Clary down to McRae, and it wasn't the worst call, I guess, in the end. A bit of a tough game for the Dogs there, especially in the second half. So, look, McRae still had 30 touches. He had quite a number of CBAs. The role is there, but he's not getting as many contested possessions as he used to. So, we're going to obviously keep going with him. He's got the Saints this week. They might bounce back, him and Bont, in a big way, although the Saints were pretty impressive yesterday. So, look, we'll give him another week. Bont, again, he sort of faded out himself. I had the actually had the VC on Dunkley, but the straight C on Bont. So, I'll take that, of course. Unfortunate for guys like George, Captain Laird, you just don't see that stuff coming. So I've managed to escape with an okay score for my captain. So, and really no one went large this week. Like if you had it on green, well done. If you had it on, I guess LDU or something, which I know one of my mates did. So shout out to Tom. But it wasn't any massive scores. They're all really big price mids. All actually, if we look at it at the end, went pretty terrible. So. It's really hard to maintain those prices. Everything's got to go right. You got to hit the ground running from round one and just be scoring 130s every week, to sort of hold there. So even McRae himself, of course, unders on what he's priced at. So we'll give those guys another chance going forward. Tom Green was immense, really big in the first half. Did butcher it a little bit. As I said before, GWS were some strange decision making with the ball in hand, like handballing over the back of their heads to no one, not looking where they're even, using the ball. Like, it was very strange, but he did continue on the second half and was a big part of the comeback. So he's looking really good, really fit and strong. Big boy in there, was playing on Laird for a little bit and just looked a different specimen to him. So really, really looking forward to owning him for most of this year. He's got West Coast this week, so I think the C, you probably saw it, has to be in and around a GWS player, I think. Hopper, now I know George has absolutely put him on blast and doesn't want to bar him anymore. I'm going to give him another week. He's got the Crows this week, and we just saw what GWS did to them in a half, or really all game. Even Callum Ward had a really good game against him. So got to give him another week. He looked a bit slow. I won't deny that, but he's in and under work and could still net some good scores. And we did see a little bit of that in the preseason. He's not got an outside game really, or he's got somewhat of one, but it's not going to be really something that happens at Richmond. That was sort of something that the Giants did, in the past. Timmy still got one, Timmy Tarano, but I think Hopper's just give him up the Crows this week. see what he can do. And then look, he is one that's expendable. If if he drops another 60 like this, he can go. So we'll monitor him this week. But the role is there. He's getting bulk CBAs. He's in and under, but there just wasn't as many as expected. Not as many goals either. So not there was only 8 goals each, 20 CBAs, and I think he attended about 12 or 13. So anyway, he's going to take some time. I have said this before the season even started. He will take some time, and unfortunately, it may be too long before it really does anything for us in SuperCoach. Maybe sort of the back half of the year where he really starts to get going. He only played 6-7 games last year. Has missed a lot of footy. So anyway, we'll move on from him. Give him this week. See how he goes. Warple was pretty good. Big sort of first quarter. Didn't do too much in the second, and then sort of kicked on in the second half and was quite good. This is what you're really going to expect from him. I think, in the 90s, maybe a ton here or there. And I think he'll make a bit of money for us, so happy to have him. Ashcroft, a bit of a rough start for him. Either statless or one stat in the first quarter. Worked his way into it, kicked a nice goal, but then in the second half, Brizzy just went nowhere near it, and he wasn't alone in sort of the fade out with Neil, Dunkley, all of them sort of just getting destroyed in the midfield. So, he'll be fine. They've got a home game this week, albeit against the D's, so be interesting to see how he goes. Mackenzie is just a superb footballer for first gamer, a young kid. He looked unreal, calm, composed. Always makes the right decision. So the Hawks have really, really found one there, and he'll be just locked onto our field for weeks and weeks to come. Constable, pretty disappointing here. I think most people would have fielded him either at D6 or, where I've got him at M8. And just a really weird game. The fact that he had over 20 kicks and just managed to use it so poorly. He only scored 50. I think it was 90 or something in Dream Team and Fantasy. So very strange, game from him. They've got Power coming back. They've got Weller, who's, I think, another 1 or 2 away. Alice with the calf is not totally set, but he'll be back soon. So I'm really he's going to get dropped. Put it that way. It's a matter of when, not if, with Constable. So let's just hope we can get a couple of price rises out of him, and a few good scores on field before, to be honest, he inevitably goes. So we'll hopefully he keeps gets his scoring up. And then the bench, pretty average. Baker wasn't too great. Kicked a goal, sort of saved his score a little bit, but still obviously not a lot. Chesser really poor to only find a footy 4 or 5 times in that game, and I think he still spent a fair bit of it, on the ground. He's not like his tog was low. He just didn't manage to find it, and very strange. But to be fair, he has only played a couple of games in a couple of years, really. So, he's one that's expendable if another rookie pops up. But we'll see. I'll show at the end what my plan might be. Davey was good. He had a few chances early. He blundered them and then managed to get his goal in the end with a nice set shot and looked pretty lively. So I think the Bombers have also found one there. And I say found, obviously a bit of father-son action there going, but it looked really good. The rucks, look, people getting 140s from Gawn and Witts, obviously. One up to them after round 1, but Darcy and Marsh obviously played each other, so it wasn't an easy matchup for either of them. Darcy sort of monstered Rowan in the ruck for a bit, for most of it. In the first quarter, he had a few clangers, unfortunately. Handball clanger, dropped a mark. They both dropped marks actually in the forward 50, 20, 30 metres out directly in front, so they both could have had a goal each there. But I think we sort of take that. I said I'd take 200 points between them. Obviously, we didn't quite get that, but wasn't too far away. So I think both will be fine. Shrek gets probably a Goldie this week with Cherry injured, who he absolutely monstered last year, and Rowan gets English. So a little bit more scope for him to maybe do some damage in the ruck with the hit outs compared to playing Shrek, who he really did get monstered by. So Madden was I did end up starting, was going to be looped, but obviously I ended up just going with Bont after Dunks only scored 108, and he started really well. But yeah, as I said before with Ashcroft and whatnot, Brizzy just faded out, and they'll be searching for some form this week back at home up against Melbourne. Big game, so hopefully they can bounce back. Rozier was was okay without being superb. I think he was really low in contested ball. Obviously, Horn Francis and others doing the heavy lifting there, Wines, but his class sort of showed through in the end. The second half, he was a little bit part of the comeback, kicked a nice goal. Not concerned at all with him. Got a lot of mid-time. He's going to be good for us. Taranto, same thing, 80% CBAs. This is what he's going to do. He might not go, 130 every week when you think he should, but he's not going to, his floor's going to be quite high, playing a lot of mid-time, getting under tackles. I think he had 8 tackles, a little bit of outside game. I think he had a few marks too. So, look, missed a goal as well. I think he's going to be really, really good for us. He'll be top 6 forward easily. Gordon as well. He looked unbelievable in that game. I'm not sure if he caught any of it, but just bursting out of stoppage. Always in the right position for sort of the forward handball or the one to be at the front of the contest. Inside 50s. I think he had 8 or something. He's just always in the right positions, and he's doing the things that get the good points for you in SuperCoach. Long kicks to advantage. Kicked a really nice goal as well from outside 50. So he's going to be a star, if not already is. So really happy with him. Really, really happy. Bruin just needs a bit of thought. It's probably the one point, him and Hopper, I guess, in my team that need a bit of thought. And he looked really, really good in the first quarter. I think he had 8 touches, a tackle, was on about 29, 30 points, and then got completely shafted. So obviously Stewart going down didn't help. Parford coming on, who's sort of another mid into that rotation. He, took a bit of mid-time, and Bruin ultimately spent a lot of time on the bench, and then when he came on, he was back onto a wing. So his mid-time went down dramatically in the second half, which is really disappointing because he showed quite a bit when he was in the mids. And if you obviously saw that game, Collingwood really ran over the top of him in the second half, and that was, a lot to do with the stoppage work and centre bounce. So Chris Scott, double premiership coach, he's surely got to see and know that Bruin really brought something in there that they might not have with others. Like Guthrie's looking a bit getting on. One game I'll cut him some slack. Danger 2 though looked pretty poor. Actually had quite some low time on ground himself. Atkins was okay, he always tries hard, but Bruin just gives him something different, and I think he's really got to be in there. And they got Carlton this week, who, on Thursday, they're not an easy matchup in the mids either. So hopefully Bruin gets a go, and we can, see what he can do and put a good score together. Otherwise, if just like Hopper, he's going to be one that's expendable in my team. So yeah, a bit annoying because the scope's there. He could do it, and then when others like Horn Francis and even Zeeble go off at similar prices, it's a bit annoying, but the scope is definitely there. Let's just hope Chris Scott gives him a chance. And then Sheasel, as I said before, when he was lining up at halfback, I said it, after Clarko sort of sprouted it after that preseason game. He played halfback for a quarter, racked up 10 touches. If he's going to be playing halfback, he's an absolute lock. But if he was going to be forward, it's not something I'm too keen on. And then I didn't expect him to play a whole game halfback. It looks like that's what's going to be going forward. Clarko said it after the game. Someone asked him, and he said, "Yeah, pretty certain to say that it's going to be that going forward." So, really impressive debut, and just going to keep on to him as long as we can. Hopefully, he keeps going well. And then Radaglia, actually thought he was okay, pretty decent in parts, flying for the footy, a few spoils, but obviously he doesn't really get involved outside of that. So I think this is really what we can expect from him most weeks. Nothing bigger, maybe some lesser scores, honestly, if the intercepting isn't going his way. So really just there as cover. So yeah, can't be upset with that. And then Fergus Green kicked a nice goal, but with the Hawks rebuild going on, there might be some more scores like this. So hopefully there's a spike game there from him somewhere, but I'd say he's going to be quite a slow burn. But at least we know his job security is A1. He's going to be playing every week, and if needed be, we can call upon him. So that's the team. Overall, I guess I'm pretty happy with it. Obviously ranked decently well, but it is only 1 week. It's more really looking forward and what can I possibly do here. I don't want to be stagnant. There's a real case saying I just don't need to trade this week. But obviously there's rookies like Chandler who went quite well. So for instance, if I was, say Chess has dropped, and I need someone to trade in, that could be Chandler, but obviously I have to move it forward here. So with my setup with Radaglia, being a ruck forward. Sheasel and Green being forwards only, it makes it a little bit hard to do any manoeuvring. So obviously someone has to go to the midfield. So like a Bruin or something, and if I was to do that, then obviously Chandler or Green have to be fielded each week. One thing that I can do though is if you move Ratugolea back to the ruck line, you can loop. So Chandler plays early. You can't quite see it, but against Brizzy here early, you put the E on him. Scores well. Leave Madden there. If not, field Fergus against who they got, Sydney this week. So not the greatest matchup, but at least it gives you a look. So that's possible. And then obviously I'd probably field Tanner here, and I'd move maybe Goda off the field and field Constable while he's got the role. Give him a go until he, as I said, probably gets dropped in the next month. Roll with that. Give Hopper and Bruin another go, and then doing Chandler early because he really looks. He looked really good. Has been plying his trade in the VFL. Sub quite a few times over the last year or so. Got his opportunity and really took it. So, Cozzy's suspended for a couple of weeks. So basically going him early frees up 3 trades in round 3 for me to boost, and not have to get Chandler that week. Getting him early means I can free up a trade, and if I have to do Hopper, Bruin, and maybe like a Goda out as well, whatever it may be, I have 3 trades free for players that I want another look at. So that's something I'm tossing up. Obviously, it's not something you always want to do, especially round 1 going early on a rookie, because anything can happen. But that's something I'm thinking about, and I don't think I'd do any more. People toying with just getting rid of Hopper and Bruin now. Might as well get like Dacos or something. I don't really love doing that. So I'm happy to give all these guys another go. See how they go and make some corrections in round 3. Before the price changes. So that's where I'm sitting with that. Overall, I guess pretty happy round 1. Can't be too upset, but. Let me know you win. Obviously, there's a lot of misfortune this week. Jones on field, that's stiff, but wasn't heading for a great score. Stewart is probably the big one. You get a premium that just gets subbed out after 1 quarter. He was looking pretty good, and then Kelly, of course, who was just a Josh Kelly game that started really poorly. Finding the footy, but getting a lot of clangers. Halftime 140 or something, monstering away in the third during the comeback. Had like a 40-point quarter up until that point, and then gets KO'd. He was heading towards a 120 easily. It's just so unlucky, but it's just always something in the back of my head with Josh Kelly, and that's why, I had him for parts. I just didn't want to do it. I just did not want to do it, and obviously that's, completely unlucky what the outcome was, but he's cursed. There's some hoodoo going on at GWS, and then they just curse, Whitfield as well. Like, seriously, they're just so unlucky, those blokes. So, they got the win, so good on them. And a lot of the first coaches actually got a win. Ross back, obviously not a first-time coach, but Kingsley, probably missing someone else there as well. Brad Scott. So, look, good. Clarko as well, I guess. Obviously not a new coach, but for this year. So, pretty eventful round 1 overall, but we'll be here to talk about it on the podcast in the next day or so. So keep an eye out for that. But until the next one, thanks, guys. Cheers. Got the mojo deals, we been tripping like pulling out the coupe at the light.